Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create quotations and quote them within audio and video documents. So let me open the project. Alright, as you can remember, we have 8 documents in this project. We have 12 codes and also we have 6 document groups here. And one of our documents is an audio file. We have 2 Microsoft Word documents. We have 1 image file, 3 PDF files, and also 1 video documents. And in the previous video, we created quotations within the Microsoft document file, the image file, and also the PDF file. And if I click on any of these quotations, I can see all of those codes that have been assigned to any of these quotations. So for example, focusing on quotation 3.1, which is the first quotation created in document 3, I have assigned these 3 codes to this particular quotation. And remember, in front of each code, there are 2 values. One of them is groundedness value and the other one is the density value. Again, groundedness means how many quotations are connected to this code, and here it is 2. It means that there are 2 quotations in this project that have been 2 quotations in this project that have been coded with the code administration. If I double click on this code, I can see these 2 quotations. One of them is quotation 3.1 that you can see it here, and the other one is quotation 5.1. And if I click on any of these 2 quotations, I can switch between them within the primary documents. All right, let me just close this. All right, I will start creating quotations within the video file first. So I just open this video file by double clicking on this. Let me just make this a bit bigger and also adjust this vertical bar. All right, so what happens here is that you need to play the video file and use these 2 buttons to create your quotations. So mark position will create the starting point of the quotation, and create quotation will create the ending point of your quotation. So while you play the video, you just use these 2 buttons to create your quotations. Later on, when there are any adjustments being made to the quotations that have been created, you can adjust those quotations. And also I will talk to you about some other features in this ribbon as well. But before that, let me just play the video and just watch how I can create quotations using these 2 buttons.
I have a tip for you, and then I'll back up and explain why it's important. In a change process, you will always find around you some people who basically always say, no, no. And they really strongly mean that. These are the guys that resist to the death. We have a tendency to try to pull them in, to co-opt them into the process, to work away and change their minds. And my tip is forget it.
All right. Now I have created 3 quotations using these 2 buttons. And so you can see that this is quotation 8.1, this is quotation 8.2, and this is quotation 8.3. If I want to play any of these quotations, I can click on them and then I can click on this play button.
I have a tip for you, and then I'll back up and explain why it's important.
So this is our first quotation and it doesn't need any adjustment. How about this one? Just play it.
In the change process, you will always find around you some people who basically always say, no, no. And they really strongly mean that. These are the guys that resist to the death.
All right, here I think we need some adjustments. I just click on this horizontal orange color bar and then drag it a bit higher. Now play again.
In a change process, you will always find around you some people who basically always say, no, no. And they really strongly mean that. These are the guys that resist to the death.
All right, so this quotation is also okay. How about the third one?
Have a tendency to try to pull them in, to co-opt them into the process, to work away and change their minds.
All right. So maybe we just adjust this bar.
We have a tendency to try to pull them in, to co-opt them into the process, to work away and change their minds.
All right. So we have these three quotations. Now I would like to quote them. As you can remember, we had we coded the quotations within the text and image files using 4 different approaches. And if you want to have access to those approaches, you can simply right click on the quotation, go to coding, and you can see those 4 common approaches. But remember, only 3 of them are applicable to video and audio files, including open coding, list coding, and quick coding. So code in vivo or in vivo coding is not applicable to video and audio files. Now let's code the first quotation using open coding. So when I click on open coding, I can simply key in the code. Just assume that the first quotation is about uh, process, and also it's about company. So I have created these 2 codes, and when I click on create, these 2 codes are created and assigned to this quotation. And if I look at here, I can see that I have the 3 quotations created in this video file, and one of them, which is quotation 8.1, has been coded with these 2 codes. All right, let's code the second one using using the list coding. How I can do that? Right click, coding, and then list coding. Now here I have a list of the available codes in this project, and I can simply select one or a few of them to assign to this quotation. So when I select them and click on OK, these codes are assigned to this quotation, and again immediately you can see these 3 codes have been assigned to this quotation. Now if I want to assign these 3 codes that have been assigned to the previous quotation to the next quotation, to the current one, this one, I can simply right click on the new quotation, right click, coding, and then I use quick coding. Now I can see that these 3 codes that had been assigned to the previous quotation are now assigned to the new quotation. So the first quotation was coded using open coding approach, the second one was coded using list coding approach, and the third one was coded using quick coding approach. Remember that you can just change the playback rate here. You can increase the volume or decrease it. Also, these are the control buttons that are accessible from here as well to control the playback of the video. Another important and amazing feature of ATLAS.ti is that you can simply capture snapshots from your videos and add them as new primary documents to your project. So for example, if I right now click capture a snapshot, what happens is that ATLAS.ti captures this frame and adds it as a new document to my documents. So let's try this. I just click on capture snapshot, and now you can see that so far I had 8 documents in this project. Now I have documents D9, which is a video frame, and if I double click on that, it is open in the main workplace of the of ATLAS.ti, and I can start creating quotations within this image file. For example, I just select this area, right click, create a new quotation, and then right click on that and just use open coding, and then I will write prof cutter. So I can simply create quotations and code them within this newly created image in my project. Let me just close this. So this is how you can create quotations within video files. Let me just close this and create a few quotations within the audio file in this project. Sorry. So audio file, just open it and then here. Okay. So again, the process is exactly the same as what you did for the video file. What you need to do is to play the audio file, and using these two buttons, the mark position button and the create quotation button, create your quotations, and then you can adjust it later. And after the adjustment is done, then you can simply create code those quotations using different approaches. Just let me change this a bit. All right. So just watch how I can do that. I play and use these two. I play the file and use these two buttons.
This is the Global News Podcast from the BBC World Service. I'm Jackie Leonard, and in the early hours of Monday the 13th of April, these are our main stories. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has paid tribute to the health workers he said saved his life after a week in hospital with coronavirus.
They're Jenny from New Zealand and Louis.
Alright, so I have created three quotations here. Quotation 1, 2, 1, 3 and 1, 4. Remember, actually it should be quotation 1, 1 because this is the first quotation, but previously, before I record this video, I created one quotation in this document and I deleted that quotation. That's why the starting number for the quotations is 1, 2, but it's not a big deal. I can simply go to Tools and click on Rename Quotations, and then renumber quotations, and then you will see that they will be all the quotations are renumbered. So the first quotation will be 1, 1, the second will be 1, 2, and the third will be 1, 3. All right. Now let's just listen to the first quotation.
Global News Podcast from the BBC World Service.
All right. I think it needs some adjustment. I can simply click on this horizontal orange line, just drag it a bit up here. Also this one just a bit here. I think it's now okay. And you note that the quotation is adjusted exactly based on how I adjust these two bars. Let me play the quotation again.
This is the Global News Podcast from the BBC World Service.
All right, so this quotation is okay. Now let's focus on the other quotation. Let me play it.
I'm Jackie Leonard, and in the early hours of Monday the 13th of April, these are our main stories.
All right, so I think it doesn't really need any adjustment. It's okay. And now the third one, click and then play
Johnson
it.
has paid tribute to the health workers he said saved his life after a week in hospital with coronavirus.
All right, so I think maybe we just need to drag it a bit higher. Let me play it again.
Mr. Boris Johnson has paid tribute to the health workers he said saved his life after a week in hospital with coronavirus.
Okay, it's almost okay, just a bit.
Minister Boris Johnson has paid tribute to the health workers he said saved his life after a week in hospital with coronavirus.
All right, now you can see that the three quotations have been created here again. So we have the same three approaches to code these quotations. The first one is open coding. So let's just assume that this is about health, also about hospital. So we would like to code this quotation with these two codes. Hospital. All right. I just click on create, and now you can see that these two codes have been created and assigned to this quotation. For the second quotation, I'm using list coding. So I have the list of the codes available in this project. I just select 2 or 3 of them, and I just assume that basically these codes are relevant to this quotation. Remember, when it comes to creating quotations and quote them, we just focus on the technical aspect of doing the job. So we just assume that whatever quotation that we create is really an important data segment, and whatever code that we assign to those quotations are relevant and meaningful quotations, codes, sorry. So I just click OK, and now you can see that this quotation has been coded with these 3 codes. And if I want to assign the previously used codes here, that are these 3 codes, to the new quotation, I can simply right click on the new quotation, go to coding and use quick coding. And now you can see that these 3 codes are assigned to the new quotation. So this is how you can create quotations and code them within audio files using open coding, list coding, and quick coding approaches. Also note that there is another way to create quotations by simply clicking, dragging, and dropping your mouse, and then releasing your by clicking, dragging, and then releasing your mouse. So when you do that, a quotation is immediately created. What you need to do is to listen to
New
it.
Zealand and Luis from Portugal.
And then in case that some adjustments are needed, just adjust it. Maybe up to here. We just assume that the adjustment has been done. Now it's a good quotation. And now you can simply click on the right click on the quotation, go to coding, and use any of these 3 approaches: open coding, list coding, or quick coding to code this code. So I just use quick coding again because I want to assign the previously used codes to assign to this new quotation. Alright, also note that if you want to delete or rename the quotations here, again you can use these options. If you want to add a comment to this particular document, you can click on the comment. And these are the 3 available coding approaches to audio files that you can see here. Alright, let me close this. Now you can see that I have 5 quotations created in this audio file, and I also created 3 quotations within the video file, and I use different approaches to code these quotations. Thank you very much. In the next video, I will show you how you can work with Document Manager. Thank you.